Okay, so a lot's happened that suddenly affected things in the last 24 hours or so. First and foremost, Impact World Champion Josh Alexander suffered a torn tricep muscle. This means he has had to relinquish the Impact Championship, and thus his two championship matches, first against Kushida at Multiverse United and against Steve MacLeod at Rebellion, had to be reformatted. The match will instead be at Rebellion between Kushida and Steve MacLeod for the now vacant Impact World Championship. This also changed the main event for the show, which was supposed to be a six-man tag between Alexander, Swan, and Kazarian against Time Machine to Time Machine against Macklin, Swan, and Kazarian. As if that wasn't confusing enough, Mickie James also suffered an injury, meaning she couldn't defend the Knockouts Championship against Jordan Grace, and we'll explain what happened with that later. Okay, so other than that, we now move to our kickoff show matches, which weren't announced beforehand until, I don't think that... I've checked it out on Twitter. I was checking Impact Wrestling out on Twitter most of the day, so they did not announce this beforehand as to what the kickoff show matches were, and they're usually better at doing that. Anyway, so I don't really have pictures for them, which is why you're going to be getting what you're getting. Our first kickoff show match was Eddie Edwards versus Bhupinder Gujjar. Edwards, right off the bat, attempted a sneak attack on Gujjar. The ref, let me try, I can't remember right here, sorry. Gujjar eventually fought back, hit an Enziguri drop kick. Edwards came back, hit a atomic drop, and then a belly to belly. Gujjar hit a pump kick, followed that up with a big flapjack. He hit a ripcord knee after that, but then Edwards came back, hit a superplex and a tiger driver. Gujjar fought back again. He went for a top rope maneuver. Edwards rolled out of the way and hit the Boston Knee Party for the 3 count of the victory. Yeah, this was not quite a squash match in the strictest sense of the term, but it was just a kind of quickie throwaway match. It wasn't terrible. It was fine. Just, didn't really seem to add much of anything. I guess I can see why maybe they didn't announce that right away. Our second match is Kylan King of the Coven, the new Knockouts Tag Team Champions, taking on Rosemary of the Death Dolls, the former Tag Team Champions. Now, obviously, Taya Valkyrie of the Death Dolls is now in AEW. They wrote her off in the last show by having her get sucked into a coffin. So, Rosemary tried to throw out some big moves, but Kylan King's more of a powerhouse type maneuvers, powerhouse wrestler, so it didn't really work so hard. Rosemary did get King in the upside down, then got slammed over the rope. Rosemary got slammed over the ropes. Eventually, the big ending to this match was Jessica and Taylor Wilde got into a fight on the outside of the ring, and that distracted Kylan King long enough for Rosemary to get a quick spear and 3 count of the victory. So if the Death Dolls do get a rematch for the Knockouts Tag Team Championships, it looks like they have a leg up. This one did a decent job of furthering the story, but not really much else. I do think it was a good clash of styles. Again, there was a lot of Rosemary trying to throw offense that Kylan King was just constantly shrugging off. So there was kind of that, okay, what can Rosemary do here? Can she use some speed? Can she tangle up in the ropes? She didn't get to use the mist, but still seemed mostly going into her favor there. And now, moving on to the show proper, we opened up with Speedball Mike Bailey versus Jonathan Gresham. Gresham, although not technically being booked as a heel right now, did act very heelish throughout this match. It was a home country, for lack of a better term, coming for Speedball Mike Bailey. So Bailey was definitely the preferred wrestler of the crowd. Gresham did lock on a surfboard right off the bat. Gresham did get a few cheap shots in, decided to play it up a bit more. He did take a quick poke to the eye a little bit. Bailey had a moonsault to the outside of the ring. Gresham locked on a cloverleaf, and then my stream went down just around this point. So I missed kind of a big chunk of the match, unfortunately. I did come back to see that first Bailey hit his sort of backflipping double stomp onto the ring apron but then Gresham caught him and hit a shin breaker off the ring apron. Gresham was definitely targeting Bailey's knees, locking him up in kind of an inverted knee bar hold for a while. Eventually, Gresham went for the figure 4, but as soon as Gresham started to lock it in, Bailey reversed it, and Gresham immediately tapped out. So the rare time that reversing the pressure on the figure 4 leg lock works, and a victory for Speedball Mike Bailey. This was a really fun match. I think it would have been more fun if I had seen all of it, but again, obviously it's not the wrestler's fault that happened, and I do have to wonder where they're exactly going with this, but definitely was very entertaining. Okay, our next match is the Digital Media Championship match, Joe Hendry versus Brian Myers. Right off the bat, they played a little pre-match interview with Brian Myers where Moose loudly proclaimed that he was going to help Brian Myers win back the championship, which was kind of stupid because immediately Santino Marella came out and then banned Moose from ringside. You'd think this would have a way to play into the match, but it really didn't. Instead, Hendry basically hit a big hip toss right after the bell ring. Myers came back in a big jumping flatliner. Myers went for the roster cut. He hit a kind of standing, he countered a standing hip toss into a stun gun type maneuver. Hendry came back, hit a fallaway slam. He followed that up with a cutter. Myers hit a spear, or he hit a quick spear. Hendry then came back. He hit another kind of rebound cutter off the ropes, and then followed that up with a standing ovation for the 3-count of victory. Yeah, this was kind of a bog standard match. It wasn't too bad. The crowd was reasonably into it, but it really didn't do too much after that. After that, we had Mickie James make her big announcement. She said she had been hurt after her match on Thursday. She went to the hospital, and it turns out she has a broken rib. She was not able to defend her championship against Jordynne Grace. So basically, she said she's not entirely sure she can make it all the way to Rebellion, but she'd like to, and if she can get cleared. Basically, they said the winner of the 4-way match at Multiverse United between Masha Slamovich, Deonna Purrazzo, Giselle Shaw, I forget the other two. I'm sorry. It's not Jordynne Grace, I know that. I forgot the other two. Sorry about that. But the winner of that match will go to Rebellion and face Jordynne Grace in either a one-on-one match or a triple threat match with Mickie James, if James is medically cleared, whether or not Mickie James is medically cleared. So I hope what I said there made sense. Anyway, moving on, the next match is Giselle Shaw taking on Deonna Purrazzo. Right off the bat, Shaw attempted to basically get a quick armbar on Deonna Purrazzo, her Purrazzo specialty, but Purrazzo countered that into a Venus de Milo attempt. Purrazzo went outside, egged Savannah Evans into attacking her. She tripped her up and sent her in the ring apron. That being said, Evans came back, got a cheap shot in Purrazzo, which allowed Shaw to then hit a corkscrew uppercut. Purrazzo came back, hit a running knee lift, followed that with a leg sweep, then hit a flatliner into a Kochi clutch. Shaw then hit the Shotgun, which is her backbreaker flatliner combo. Purrazzo then countered the denouement into the Venus de Milo. Shaw immediately gave up. Afterwards, Evans and Jay Vidal jumped Deonna Purrazzo and were beating her up. At this point, Tasha Steelz' music hits. Steelz came down to the ring and tried to assure Evans that everything was okay, that she was going to join her, and then immediately attacked Evans and Jay Vidal. She hit Vidal with, I can't remember the exact maneuver she had. I believe she hit her with a DDT, and let me see, yeah, she hit Vidal with a DDT and then kicked Evans out of the ring. So, yes, Tasha Steelz is back and seemingly siding with Deonna Purrazzo. When Savannah Evans joined up with Giselle Shaw last month, I did kind of think that. I was like, wait, isn't Tasha Steelz still with Impact? I wasn't entirely, according to her Twitter, she still was. So, yeah, I had to wonder where that was going, and now we seem to see where that is. Obviously, I don't know if we're going to see her and Purrazzo as a team, but you at least kind of get the idea of where Tasha Steelz stands in all this. Okay, so after that, our next match was Kenny King versus PCO. Eddie Edwards accompanied Kenny King to the ring. Kenny King is still in an Honor No More t-shirt because technically that still exists. Edwards distracted PCO, which allowed King to get a big maneuver off, a corkscrew suicido to the outside of the ring. PCO came back and hit a couple maneuvers, but Edwards kept distracting him. Finally, it seemed like PCO kind of snapped, and then he did a diving cannonball to absolutely nothing on the outside of the ring. But then he got up and he hit King with a similar type maneuver. He hit a lung blower off the second rope on King. Edwards then tripped up PCO on the top rope. King hit a straitjacket slam onto the ring apron. At which point, Edwards got a chair out and slid it to King, who mounted it up in the corner. But then, when Edwards tried to interfere again with a kendo stick, PCO took the chair and basically punched it back into King's face. Got the 3 count in the victory. So, again, this was kind of another very... this match had some interesting ideas, but I think this just kind of like, okay, when are we going to finally have the blow-off with this thing? At some point, this has to go somewhere, I feel to it. Like, okay, PCO has his victory. Is he going to get to move on from this, or are Edwards and King still going to hound him? We then got a little backstage vignette where Steve Maclin promised that he was going to be on Kazarian and Shaw's side because they're teammates, and he does actually want to win and scout Kushida as best he can. After that, we had the X Division Championship match, Trey Miguel versus Lince Dorado. Early on, Miguel tried to, when he entered the ring, it was kind of funny. He made the ref hold the ropes open for him, but then he just jumped over the ropes into the ring. Dorado, he basically shrugged off a monkey flip and then started kind of rubbing the ring ropes like he's a cat, sort of marking their territory. I mean, I know Lince Dorado means the Golden Lynx, but I didn't think he was a house cat. Anyway, Dorado did hit a corkscrew maneuver to the outside of the ring. Miguel followed that up with kind of diving double stomp on the ring apron. Dorado hit a top rope Hurricane Rana. He then hit a shooting star press, but Miguel managed to roll out of the ring right after Dorado hit it. Miguel then hit a Hurricane Rana into a roll up for a 3 count in victory. Overall, decent match. Good high spot maneuvering and everything. Unfortunately, the idea of who would win this was kind of blown when up there they put the match for Multiverse. What's it called? Multiverse United. Sorry, Trey Miguel putting it on this in the scramble match with 5 other opponents. It's like, or possibly Lince Dorado. Yeah, this is a mistake they kind of made a few times throughout the show. Okay, our next match is for the Impact Tag Team Championship. It's Bullet Club versus Haste and Tito of TMDK. Haste is the former Shane Thorne. TMDK, I'm trying to think what his partner was in NXT. They used to be TM61. And they were obviously TMDK outside of WWE when they joined NXT. They were TM61, and then I'm trying to think who it was, got released, and Thorne then went up and was part of the Haste. Thorne they were Wheeljack, I believe, in that Judgment Day, not Judgment Day. Oh God, I can't think what it's called now. That stupid faction with Wheeljack and Crowbar and Mace and whatever. Whatever they were called again. Anyway, just to clear that up. Again, another match where they kind of blew what was going to happen, where, we're announcing the Multiverse United. It's like, by the way, Bullet Club also has to put the titles up against TMDK and these guys, and it's like, well, you just said they, again, you're tipping your hand. Anyway, Big Tito, early on blocked a crossbody from Bay, hit a big suplex. Hayes hit a dropkick to the back of Ace Austin's head. Bay and Austin hit the click, click, boom, which is the Motor City Machine Guns maneuver. Tito then hit Austin with a spinning back suplex. Bay then hit a big plunge into Tito on the floor, followed that with a springboard springboard famouser onto Haste. Tito came in and hit Austin with a frog splash, I'm sorry. Bay broke up the pin, and that enabled Bullet Club to hit the Ace and Bay connection on Tito for the 3 count of the victory. Again, decent little match, nice spots, but again, you tipped off who was going to win right at the beginning of the match. Maybe wait until, afterwards to talk about Multiverse United, which is probably why you shouldn't have reasonably big shows a week apart from each other. Just a thought. And that leads us into our next match, which is the busted open match between Tommy Dreamer and Bully Ray. This is basically a first blood match. Okay, so right off the bat, Ray attacked Dreamer with a chair. Dreamer fought back. He pulled out an ECW championship belt from under the ring. Ray crotched Dreamer on the ring barricade and then got into a fight with former Detroit Red Wings star Darren McCarty, who was in the crowd. Threw beer on him. McCarty tried to enter. The security kept holding him back. That enabled Dreamer to come back and attack. He got some thumbtacks out. He got a cheese grater out. They got into a fight on the outside of the ring. Let's see. Dreamer inadvertently hit the ref and then just hits, I believe it was the cheese grater on Bully Ray. Bully Ray starts bleeding at this point. However, his underlings in the good hands, Hotch and, God, what's the other one? Skyler hit the ring and attacked Dreamer. They managed to wipe enough of the blood off of Bully Ray. Bully Ray took Dreamer's threw thumbtacks into Dreamer's face and then ground them into the thumbtacks even further. Got Dreamer bleeding a little bit. Then he threw Dreamer into the ring post. The ref got up, saw Dreamer bleeding, and called the match for Bully Ray. Bog standard first blood match. That's usually how those things play out. One guy starts bleeding, but then he dodges into a reasonable position so that the ref can't see him, so he can cheap shot the good guy and get him to bleed so the good guy loses. Usually that's pretty much how 90% of them have played out. At which point Yamura came in to try to save Dreamer. He got tossed out of the ring and attacked. Darren McCarty then jumped into the fray, got powerbombed through a table. At which point Scott D'Amore returned to be president of Impact Wrestling. He brought the whole Impact locker room out to attack Bully Ray. He hit Bully Ray with a Canadian... he hit Haste. No, not Haste. Hotch. Or was it Skyler? He hit one of the good hands with the Canadian Destroyer. That was really the high point of that whole scenario there. And that leads us into our main event, the 6-man tag match between Time Machine and Steve Macklin, going against Steve Macklin, Swan, and Kazarian. Macklin really only wanted to take on Kushida. He usually kind of stayed out. He would only enter if it looked like they were going to lose. He was trying to make sure that they at least won. Shelley lured Swan into putting on an STF. Kushida tagged in. Kazarian aggressively tagged in Macklin. Shelley and Kushida double-teamed Macklin for a while. They got him in a... they were trying to set up his arm for the hoverboard lock. Macklin managed to get Shelley with a stun gun, but then Shelley and Kushida put, I believe it was Rich Swann, in a half-crab chin lock because Macklin was too busy arguing with the ref. Time Machine dropkicked Swan into Kazarian. Macklin seemed to abandon. He didn't want to tag in after that, but then he eventually tagged in a couple more times. But every time he kept getting piled on by Time Machine repeatedly, not really seeming to want to fight back. Swan did hit a 450 onto Kushida, but the pin got broken up. Kushida got Macklin on the hoverboard lock, and then Macklin quickly tapped out. He then proceeded to walk away yelling at his supposed tag team partners. Overall, again, not a terrible match. It was alright. It had some good fun spots in it. Macklin plays the chicken shit heel very well. I don't know if he's necessarily my favorite going into the match at Rebellion. I think if you really had to make me pick, I think they would probably try to do something that made the crowd a little bit happier and, have Kushida win the championship, and then you can have Macklin win it like a couple weeks later or something, in a match that's more suited to his stylings. But I'm never too. You're never too sure on this. But yeah, like I said, a decent enough match. Just again, maybe a little predictable, especially when you had MacLeod talking about he wanted to scout Kushida and everything. So yeah, there's kind of you before that, like I said, you had Swan and Kazarian talking about they wanted to win the match for Josh Alexander. They weren't sure if they could trust MacLeod, and MacLeod was more about how this all affected him rather than the fact that Alexander tore his tricep, which, yeah, you kind of get the idea right there. And that's kind of the thing with the show overall. Like, they seem to be more interested in pushing Multiverse United, which is fine. I have no problem with that, but yeah, it's just again, where you're tipping off who's going to win matches by talking about what's going to happen at the next show, which is the next week. It's like, maybe you could have held off a little bit. Maybe hold off. And I don't know if I would say hold off until April, but yeah, again, maybe push Rebellion back towards the end-ish of April, and then hold this in the middle of April a little, or just maybe after WrestleMania would have worked a little bit better. And that way you had your big show WrestleMania weekend. I had intended to also cover Multiverse United. Unfortunately, it's like that show's airing at, I think, Thursday at 10 o'clock here. And it's like, I'm already going to probably have to pull an extra night just to do, the 2 nights of WrestleMania. I'm going to have to probably pull an all-nighter just to make sure I can get that video up on time. I really don't want to have to do that twice in a row. Or 2 days in a week. Especially with the weather being as it is. I can't really stand up being that long and then having to go to work. So, yeah. So, unfortunately, I'm kind of passing over that. So, yeah, if this was meant to build towards Rebellion, I don't know if it did a good job. I'm not even sure it did a good job of building towards Multiverse United. That being said, like I said, it was not a bad show. It was still really fun. I am going to give Impact Sacrifice 2023 a B. Like I said, overall, there were some really good matches on here. Really entertaining stuff. Did do a good job of furthering some stories, but other than, also there were some streaming problems too, so yeah, that did kind of dial it back a little bit in my opinion. And again, just kind of the banality of some of it just got to me a little bit. I think I made my point clear there. So yeah. Next video is going to be the random trailer review on Spy Boy Volume 3. That is done. I got that ready to go. So that's not going to be delayed anymore. After that, it's going to be episodes 4 and 5 of The Mandalorian Season 3. Then we're going to do the WrestleMania prediction videos, and then, obviously, WrestleMania. I'm not going to do NXT Stand and Deliver this year. Again, there's a little too much happening. And in case you're wondering, when I do the 2-night WrestleManias, I do it all as one video. Like, I'll watch the Saturday night, I'll shoot the recap and review for Saturday night, I'll watch Sunday night, and then, okay, I think you get the rest there. I did finally manage to get a copy of WWE 2K23. I had to go to Walmart to get it. It's the only place in town that stocked it. I didn't want to have to get the digital version. I'm not a huge fan of the digital version, again, just because I'm afraid if something bad happens, or if I somehow have to replace my Xbox, it's like I don't want to have to buy a whole new game if I have to do that. Okay, that's why I'd rather have the physical copy. So yeah, I'll maybe talk about that in another video if I ever get around to getting everything going. I haven't really had a chance to play it just yet, so see you all next time.
Hey guys, remember you can help me maintain and possibly even expand my professional wrestling coverage by supporting me on Patreon at patreon.com/SleepyTime4Cat Productions. Also, remember to like the video, comment, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell.